music. So I just said, you know what, get me out of here, get me off this. If you can get me away from this label, I'll just, I would be very happy. And he called me the next day and said, you're off. It was that easy.
I just kind of saw a shift in the music business. I realized that the promises I was making to the bands I was signing, I couldn't keep anymore.
He was dealing with me through this transitional period. His hands were tied. He could do nothing because the president and vice president of the labels were not letting him do anything.
The system wasn't allowing me to maintain the level of integrity that I thought existed.
The labels are looking for gimmicks now. I mean, they no longer cultivate artists. There's no more artist development. Like I said, 5-10 years ago, they used to develop artists and give them time to really find their way and find their own voice. Nowadays, it's like, all right, this is what people want to hear. They want to hear about rims. They want to hear about jewelry. They want to hear about this and that. So this is what you want to rap about.
It's almost gotten to a point where a lot of frustrated and really talented people give up and leave because it seems like the industry really doesn't want country music anymore, and there's terms such as too country that exist. Too country, well, how can you be too country for country music? Alternative country is a great example. If you're traditional country, they'll call you alternative country. So what they're saying is that real country music is an alternative to country music. Makes no sense.
We are the last group of black musicians with a major record deal. When I grew up, I knew all the members of War. I knew who was in the Commodores. I knew who was in Cameo. I knew who was in even the 80s. There were bands. There's Prince and the Revolution. There was Ready for the World. There were bands. There are no more black bands. Like, we are the last black band with a major record deal right now as we speak.
Record companies are no longer run by music people at the top. I think that's one of the factors in the situation.
Take Bruce Springsteen's career, somebody who I happen to admire. I always use him as an example, and when you read it in the print, it looks like I'm attacking him, and I'm not. So he makes Born to Run, and everybody loves it. And then his next 3 records are as far away from Born to Run as you can get. Now, if it were 2008 or 1998 instead of 1978, it would have thrown him out on his butt. Sorry, no hits, gotta go.
Right now, longevity is determined by how much money you make and how many fans buy your records.
The 20 million people that buy a Britney Spears record aren't music fans, they're a popular culture fan. So if your vision is more about reaching the people that really respond to music, that's a completely different business than the majors are in now. The majors used to be in that business, but they weren't majors then. They were just record companies, and there were hundreds of them. But now there's 4 of them.
You look at the parameters now, and most of the people that people talk about as being great, Peter Gabriel or Sting or Bruce Springsteen, man, they wouldn't get a shot right now.
Most corporations run their financial lives based on quarterly earnings, and when that trickles down to a company that's developing talent, it puts a lot of constraints on the situation.
Companies were going public, and they were beholden to the bottom line of this quarter. Did you make a big profit this quarter? Otherwise, our stockholders would be unhappy. That's completely different than the record company that I signed with. Warner's was a little family label, and their big sellers, Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, would pay for Ry Cooder and Randy Newman and me and Little Feat.
Who's going to get signed are the ones that fit the existing formula, because they're the most likely to have a hit the quickest, the most immediately, and the most risk-free.
One of the things that worries me about the way people obsess over the stock market is that it now makes executives, whether in the music industry or otherwise, think short term, and a good executive shouldn't really have to do that. A good executive should be thinking about the long-term health of a business.
You either adapt to it or you get swallowed up. And now that I'm older, I see it. It's not so cut and dry as I used to like to think that it was.
Sadly, because our major record labels are now public companies, they don't have the luxury to do that because boards of directors and owners, stockholders, they want a return right now.
And you look up and everybody's saying, well, your quarterly earnings have to reflect this or we will fire your ass. Guess what? You either quit or you step in line.
People get art and commerce mixed up, and once you can separate the two and see that art is art and commerce is commerce, and understand that this business is commerce, then it makes that much more sense.
Mr. Eric Clapton is going to join us tonight.
All of my albums that I've made over the years have always seemed like failures, and I hadn't wanted to listen to any of my albums after I did them because they didn't do anything, and that to me was something that was instilled in me by the labels. I could not enjoy these because they were flops.